Hi, yeah, I'm back. Thanks for sticking with us. And I said I would be. So we'll just do this one. Do a quick 10 minutes on this, and we can all get on with other things. So I was asking at the end of part one there. What would be the purpose of a psyop? What have you seen that has led you to believe it might be a psyop? And it's only really just a half-time break there. I was look. I'm not alone in thinking this. I know the people who have asked themselves the same question. Good to know you're not crazy. But the psyops do happen. They're quite rare, but they do happen, and they would serve several purposes. And it would appear that this case and the kind of pile on over it on both sides would appear to be serving some purposes. So one thing that's for certain is that it has been taking attention away from other things that have been going on in the world. Whether that is the raiding of your pockets, the attempt to take away your civil rights, your right to protest against the government or whatever. People have been playing sleuth. We've been playing sleuth on this for a long time. This has been going on for quite a while. But of course, many of the sleuthing has been on the part of those who would like to see the original conviction overturned. Naturally enough. Suppose if you're happy that we've got a convicted murderer in jail where she belongs, then you're less likely to do anything. But that is something that you certainly see with these two life fallacy situations we were talking about the other day. Is there are two definite sides on this, and I suppose if you are one of those people who is naturally suspicious of authority, perhaps inclined not to believe what you are told, then I think Lucy Letby could well be a kind of she could be a kind of cause celeb for a lot of people. The Letby thing could well be. It's one of those things that a little bit like Reuben Carter was for a lot of people in America in the 70s, or whether you think he did it or not. It appeals to a certain type of person who believes that yes, people in authority tell lies sometimes. The other interesting thing about this case is that Letby fits the could be innocent profile in a certain way, and I think you know where I'm going with this. Let's say it was a hairy-arsed working class man, who had tattoos all over himself. And he was going, I'm innocent, right? You get the feeling that, I don't know, people are a little bit more willing to believe it about a kind of middle-class young woman like Lucy Letby than they are about, say, a hairy-ass man with tattoos. I'm not saying that's right. In fact, that would be an argument for it being part of a psyop, is, they picked the perfect candidate in that sense. By the way, there are still a great many people who believe in the original conviction, believe that there is a guilty woman rightly behind bars, and would like to see her behind bars for the rest of her life. And that's where this gets rather interesting, these two sides, and they do wheel out some other silly stuff about, oh God, you're putting the families through more suffering. Look, if you genuinely believe that we have an innocent person behind bars, then, if there's evidence that might be the case, then with the best will in the world, we can't be ignoring that in the name of protecting anybody's feelings. We just can't. So it's a bit of a silly argument really to wheel that out. I mean, the thing about this case is about if you take it at face value, it does seem to land in a pretty perfect spot, really, and it's a spot where. You can say yes. There's a definite circumstantial case against Letby, and there is a circumstantial case that demands some sort of answer. But you could also argue even that relies on quite a bit of cherry picking. But you can also say that there's basically nothing in the way of smoking gun evidence. So it really does kind of, it comes down to really how you go into your interpretation of guilt, innocence, reasonable doubt, whatever. Do you believe that, for instance, that coincidences do happen sometimes? A lot of people believe that they do. And other people would say, actually, the odds of somebody being that unlucky are pretty low. To which you can see the other side say, yes, but they're low, but they're not impossible. Isn't that what reasonable doubt is? And so you can see this case lands in a kind of perfect fault line, between those two things, where there is a circumstantial case, but there is no physical case. That's quite rare, actually, and that is it does seem to land there. The other thing about this case that is very, very odd is the two sides that have emerged on this. If you believe that you have a guilty person behind bars, then obviously she's the devil incarnate. She is an evil killer. And then on the other side, it's a bit of a bizarre one, this, because the people who have taken it upon themselves to campaign for her release and argue that she's innocent also appear to have made a rather bizarre value judgment that she is an absolute angel and a paragon of virtue who would never hurt a fly, had never made a professional mistake, would never do anything wrong, is an absolutely wonderful human being. And it's a bit of a bizarre one, this, because, I don't know how anybody can decide that about somebody who they don't know. I mean, this really does, it overlooks a very important point here, that there is a massive sea of grey between the place where, yes, she did these crimes, she committed these murders, and this other extreme place over here, where not only is she wholly innocent of that, but she's actually wholly innocent of ever doing anything wrong ever, and she's an absolute sweetheart who, would never ever be party to any wrongdoing of any sort. And it just seems a bit like there is an enormous sea of grey there, that the truth of what happened here could very well be in that sea of grey, and it could well explain, it could include explanations that, have some sort of wrongdoing involved that stops short of deliberate murder. It could have wrongdoing involved that Lucy Letby was party to in some way, or took part in some way, but she didn't deliberately kill anybody. And it does seem really odd that the leaps that the innocent side of this are making, that they've kind of deified. It's going to put her on a pedestal and slapped a halo around her. It's kind of odd, I mean, hands up if you are a deeply flawed person who has never deliberately killed anybody, right? Doesn't mean you've never done anything wrong in your life, does it? Right? And that is it's a very strange thing that they've done. And kind of the emotional investments that these people have got is something they don't know. The truth here could be extremely messy if we're taking it at face value. Alternatively, we could be dealing with a Psy-op. Hence, it's been created that way, to get the two sides arguing with each other. So, the other thing being, of course, that it's like a lot of activity that people are steered into. You've got people putting out these videos, constantly putting out these videos about this case, and they are just putting, and they get enormous audiences, some of them. And I don't know if anyone's told any of the people making these videos, but they're not going to achieve anything legally. It's a bit like going on these anti-war marches or demonstrations or whatever. It may feel like you're achieving something, but you almost always aren't. And these videos aren't going to achieve anything for anybody. They're not going to get us sprung out of prison because someone made a really good YouTube video about this last night. Or best release of that. It doesn't work like that. If you really do believe that you've got an innocent person in jail, then no amount of YouTube videos is going to save it. In fact, as we mentioned earlier, she's been tried and convicted of another murder. While all that's been going on, it would appear to me that if you really do want to do something because you believe that a terrible injustice has been done, then you need to probably get, you need to help the relevant people in her defence get evidence that undermines the evidence, particularly the evidence of Mr. Evans that was used at the original trial. And that alone is the only thing that's going to do any good here. So they're my thoughts on it. I'm not saying it is or it isn't a psy-op, but it has crossed my mind that it could be. And I'm just wondering if anyone else has thought the same, as I said at the top there. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later in the week.